But, I was riding around this week, and I saw a sign in somebody's yard, and it says, Jesus is the reason for the season. And it couldn't be more wrong. Jesus is not the reason for the season. How many of us still believe that tale that he was the reason? No. And the ancients knew well that this predated Christianity by thousands and thousands of years, this time of season. And they knew it's all about the sun's cycle, which is your soul's growth and about your illumination of your soul. This has been celebrated way, way back. I mean, since the ancients began, since civilization began. So it's all about you, and really all about humanity, and how the sun is really a picture of the cycle, of our soul cycle, and how we become that light. And, because of the axis of the earth and how it tilts and spins, the sun is more prominent in the northern hemisphere half the year, and in the southern hemisphere the other half the year. And the winter solstice occurs in the winter when the earth is reached, when the sun has come the lowest point to the earth. And it's the shortest day of the year. The 21st is the shortest day of the year, when we have more darkness and less light. So it's all about, the ancients knew this, and it's about that death, life, and rebirth that we all go through. And we have the shortest daylight hours and the greatest time of nighttime. And each of our seasons is a reflection of how much light the sun gives to our planet. So I know you know probably all about this, Reba, because you study all this. So the seasons is all about light and darkness. It has nothing to do with with what Jesus did. It really limits us. I've gone through all the esoteric. I've done this Christmas for so many years. I've talked about all the symbolism in the tomb and Mary, that she was really, it's a virginal mind that's going to produce the Christ. It's not talking about physicality. The Bible's a metaphysical book, and it's all talking about, metaphysically, that when we have that virginal consciousness, that pure consciousness, that we too can birth that divinity, that Christ. But it's all about the sun. So it's all about light and darkness. And this time of year, the autumn equinox and the spring equinox is when the days are equal. There's equal sun and equal light. But the winter solstice is when the less light, and the summer solstice is the longest day of the year, which is the most light. And all these have been celebrated for thousands and thousands of years. And the pagans and Christians all celebrate their sacred holidays because of astrology. Think of Easter. When is Easter? How do you know, how is that calculated? It's the first Sunday after the spring equinox. It's not a date, but that's how they still, figure it, because it's after the spring equinox. So the date changes for Easter. All of the holidays are the same. So this season we call Christmas is one of the great, the 4 festivals that all the ancients celebrated, actually right from the beginning of civilization. So we wonder, where did the knowledge come of what really was happening in the skies? In Genesis 1 it says this, I put lights in the sky for signs and seasons. So those lights, the stars, the sun, the zodiac, they're all up there for a reason, and they're really bringing us messages. So what's the message of Christmas? If it's that ancient, what is the message for us today? So, and there's a message in every season. And alchemy says this, as above, so below. And that's exactly what we're seeing. What's happening in the heavens is really happening not only on the earth, but it's happening within us. Genesis is not something that happened in an outer realm. Genesis is really the ascension of your consciousness. It's really our story. I remember when I woke up to that. I'm reading Genesis, it starts with the lowest energy, and then it comes to the highest energy when man is created in the image of God. It's the ascension of our consciousness. And really, that's what the whole Bible is about, the ascension of our consciousness. That's what the zodiac's about. That's what the seasons are about. Every single one of them is teaching us, about the ascension, about us being illuminated. So Christmas predates Christianity, and it's not just about Jesus, or really about Jesus. And it goes back to a pagan holiday called Saturnalia, which is the 12 days of celebration. And they really were worshiping Satan, but that's where the 12 days of Christmas came from. It comes from the zodiac, the joke that I just read. All of that comes from the heavens. Why is there 12 days of Christmas? Because it all goes back to the zodiac, and it all goes back to how those energies, how the seasons, how the equinoxes and the solstice affect us. We have put all of these, different meanings, which I'm going to get into on Christmas, when really we love rituals. We desire those rituals because they take us back to the true meaning of some of these things. So how did it come into being? How do we start celebrating Christmas? Well, in 4 AD, the Catholic decided to adopt the pagan holiday, and they thought, if we adopt the pagan holiday, we can get all the pagans into the church, and we can control the finances, we can control everything. So what they did was put a Christian connotation on a pagan holiday. And how many of us, when we were in the church, we thought pagans were, terrible people? But all it means is country dwellers. They dwelled on the land. They knew the seasons. They lived by the seasons. They lived as above, so below. So anyway, they decided to put a Christian connotation, the Pope did, and they adopted the celebration of Christmas, even though it had no Christian principles whatsoever, as does Easter. Easter, it never tells us to, in the Bible, it never tells us to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. The only thing it tells you to celebrate in the Bible is the death of Christ, Pascha, which is Passover. And the same with Christmas. They never tell us in the Bible to celebrate the birth of Christ. And we can't even, there's such a deliberation on if Jesus lived and if there was a Christ, which I think there was probably many, but when he was really born, because I remember when I was in the church, we debate this, because it said, the shepherds were abiding in the fields. And after, in the winter months of December, after September, the shepherds never abided in the fields anymore in Jerusalem. So definitely he wasn't born on December 25th, but it's because of what December 25th, represents. And I've spoken many times on, there's 19 saviors, at least, that were born on December 25th, because of the significance of what it's all about. So there's nowhere in the Bible that talks about us celebrating this holiday we call Christmas, or celebrating the birth of Christ. But they had fixed this. They decided how they brought Christ into it. They decided the last day of that pagan holiday, they would say it's Jesus' birthday. So they put that connotation on it, and we all have just eaten into it and followed it. So they changed the name to Christmas, which literally means, because the Catholic Church is what did it, it means the Christ Mass. So when we were in Ireland, Sharon's not here today, but Sharon is, when we were in Ireland, we went to a place called Newgrange. And it's known for its solstice significance. It's this like a roof box above the ground, and then we went in, remember Sharon, we went in this little narrow thing, and it's like a tomb inside. But on the winter solstice, they showed us what it was like. They took a flashlight. The sun comes down and shines right into that tomb-like case. And it's probably, it dates back 3,000 years, and it's probably one of the oldest, man-made structures on planet Earth. Even older, they think it could be older than the pyramids. But how did those people know? Most of the churches that are in England, all of them, the solstice, the equinox, does the same thing. They have like a chamber, and the light comes straight in. It's like the bridal chamber. And the light comes in on the winter solstice. So in Newgrange, it was a 62-foot passage where the chamber, where that light would come in, and it was just phenomenal. They took a flashlight and showed us how it was done. But it's all about light and the rebirth of the sun, and it's about your rebirth. All of these seasons tell us about our life cycle, but we've got like separated from that. That's why I think there's so much a call back to Mother Earth. People are going to the beach, going to the forest, because we're reconnecting and really learning that there's so much more to this than we really thought. So they don't know how they built that, but the architecture speaks for itself by allowing the light to be reborn and to penetrate that dark place like the womb. And think of a baby. If I ask you, what's probably the darkest place on planet Earth? It's the womb. It's the womb where that light, when a sperm hits an egg, there's a combustion, and it's a light. And the Bible says this, there's a light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world. We are photon energy. And this season is all about that photon energy that's dying down, and then it's rebirth. And that's what it's all about. So we're really learning that. So it's a moment of regeneration and transformation. This is probably really one of the most sacred times of the year. This is one of the really festivals that when you go back in the cultures, all of the ancient cultures celebrated this time. So the celebration of the spring and fall equinox and the summer and winter solstice goes back to ancient Egyptian mystery schools, because they knew it had to do with your journey. You know, I love what it said about the mystery schools. It said they went in as men and they came out as gods, because they begin to connect to these energies. And that's where we are today. If I ask you, what is Christmas? Think about that in your own mind. How would you answer that? What is the significance of it? Why is it that we're still celebrating that? After thousands and thousands of years, we can see that the universe has a plan. And it's not going to let man forget that plan. And when we see these holidays that are still in effect, but have been put other connotations to keep man asleep, we're the ones that are waking up and understanding that there's a deeper meaning to this season than going to, Macy's and buying gifts. Why do people get so depressed at this time of the year? There's an energy about that too, because there's less light. And we're all light. We're all looking for the light. We're all going to the light. And how about when a baby comes and it goes through its mother's womb, where does it go? To the light. Just like we do when, so many after-death experience or near-death experiences, the people are always going to the light. But when we come down into the darkness. And our whole journey is back to that light. So Christmas is really telling us about that. And mythologically, the winter solstice is when the goddess gave birth to the divine child, it started the solar new year. And then the divine child became her consort, sometimes her husband or her different things. They would switch around. They'd be sisters, they'd be husbands and mothers, and it would later die and be reborn at the next winter solstice. So we see that this birth, life, and death story was really the origin of every major world religion. When I was talking about those 19 men from Egypt to Greece to all over the world that were born on December 25th, had 12 disciples, walked on water, came into their city on a donkey, was born of a virgin, died, resurrected. We've always been told it was only Jesus. But it was from the beginning of time, because there's only one story. And it's the story of humanity arising and awakening that we are light. Rising out of the darkness, the illusion of what we're living in, and knowing that we are light and that we have that power. We are that illuminating spirit that's here on the earth, and that we can change everything. But because Christmas has been so muted down and watered down, and we haven't understood the meaning, and we didn't. When I was in a real strict religion, we didn't even celebrate Christmas because it was pagan. But I started thinking, we look at the tree, and in the Bible it says this: men are like trees walking. That's an analogy. And so what do we put in the tree? Lights. Because we are the light of the world. When we begin to look past the physicality and understand that everything is an allegory, always taking us to a deeper understanding of who we are. I love what they had above the mystery stools too. The key was know thyself. And when we take ourselves out of Christmas, when we take ourselves out of the winter solstice, we don't know ourselves, because it's not about one man that died supposedly 2,000 years ago. It's about every one of us sitting here right now. It's about us, and how does this affect us? And and I'm not going to get into the crucifixion, I'll do that another time, but I used to always think, how could a God that loved do that? And it said in the Old Testament, it said, I was satisfied with the affliction of his soul. And I used to think, what kind of God is that? But when we understand that all of those things were allegories, and not really truth, but allegories to show us about ourselves, we begin to look at things in an entirely different way. But the longest night of the year was when the ancients set intentions back then, that they felt would be birthed with that newborn son. And they believed that when they conceived in the darkness, just like a baby is conceived where? In the darkness of a womb. Where's the seed planted? In the darkness of the earth. So in this darkest period of time, the ancients would make their intentions. And as the sun came back, for 3 days and 3 nights, it looks like the sun stands still from the 21st to the 25th. That's why we celebrate the 25th, because it starts its upward cycle and the days begin to get longer again. But it's imperceptible. We don't have a perception of it when it starts. But that's what it's really all about. So in that darkness, they would plant their intentions. And that's what you can do too. When you understand the energies of this time, that it's that time of darkness when we can plant something. And then as the sun begins to rise and it puts that light on our intentions, we can see them come true in 2017. So it could grow with the sun and gain momentum in the spring. They believe that the darkness before the dawn can be a powerful moment of magic. And that's one of the things I was reading. All of the ancient cultures thought this was the most magical time of the year, because it was a time when it was darkness. It was a time when we go within ourselves. It was a time when you rest more. And what have we done? We've made it like a hectic time of year, haven't we? Where we're rushing around. I don't know about you, but we've cut way back. I mean, I'm not doing all the crazy things we used to do, but it's really a time of reflection. You know, it's really a time of going inside. They believe this was a powerful moment of magic. So when we're going to what I've got here is some envelopes. And what I thought I'd do is each one of you can pick up an envelope and write down your intentions. This is not like New Year's intentions, but what you really want to see in your life, in your spiritual growth, whatever it is you want to see in your life in 2017. And either you can address it to yourself and put a stamp on it and bring it back here, and we'll mail it to you at the end of next year, or you can keep it at home. But I thought, put your intentions in there and write 2017 and then put it away or bring it back in here. And just see if on the 21st, if you go into those energies, if you meditate and really touch those energies that are really, for millions and thousands of years, the ancients have used that time to put their intention, to plant that seed of intention for 2017. And put it in there. And just meditate and connect to those energies and just see as the days grow lighter and the light comes more and more into your life, if those intentions don't come back. We need to get into more rituals that are really telling us what this time of year is about. You know, we do all the Christmas stuff. We have the Christmas dinners, we have all that. But where does it really minister to us? Where does it really show us the power of this time? And so when we begin to understand what the ancients did, we can do that. So we're going to put that up here for you. So pick one up afterwards and you can put them in there. And you can make it on the 25th and put it, like I said, in an envelope. So the ancients saw the sun's journey through the seasons as our soul's journey. You know, the sun goes through all the houses of the equinox. It's our soul's journey. And it's all about us. So let's just talk about the seasons a little bit. Let's imagine spring as the birth of your soul. And it begins to descend from the spiritual home into a body as the light begins to get shorter. Your soul is birthed and it begins to descend into this three-dimensional world, into your body, which begins on the summer solstice, where there's less and less light. What does that represent? I believe it represents the veil of forgetfulness that we go through to descend into these physical bodies. Because we come into these physical bodies and we don't know why we're here. And we don't know what our purpose is. And we forget. Now, if Patty were here, she's out of town right now, but she does past life regression. When you go into those past life regressions, you find out you've had all kinds of things that you've done through many, many lifetimes. But we come to that veil of forgetfulness in this life, and as we come into these bodies, and I think that pictures that. And we can't remember who we are, why we came, or what's the purpose for our coming. So they say we're here on December 21st, the shortest day of the year. There's less light than any other time. For 3 days and 3 nights, I said the sun looks like it stands still. And that was why Christ was in the grave 3 days and 3 nights. Because it crosses the equator at that time. So it's crossified. And that's where we get the word crucified. Has nothing to do with really somebody being crucified on a cross. It's all about as above. As that sun crosses the equator, it's crucified or crossified. And it looks like it comes closest to the earth, and it looks like for 3 days and 3 nights, it stands still. And then on the December 25th, it begins its rise again, and the days become lighter, and there's more light coming into our life. It's all about us. It's all about how we come down here and we forget. And we're in the darkness of this place, not knowing why we're here. But as we begin to arise and wake up, and we begin to arise, and that light within us begins to arise. And that really is what Christmas is all about. So it's representing the light within us. And we're redeemed by that glorious return of that sun. It's all about us. But it's the year's darkest, deepest point. that the magic turnaround occurs. So it's at that time when it looks the darkest. And maybe that's where you are in your life right now. Maybe it's a time in your life where it looks the darkest. These are other things we can get. But in that darkest point, there's that turnaround. At that darkest point on the December 25th, when the day is shorter and there's the less light, there's a turnaround that you can't see. And the light begins to come back in, and the days begin to get longer. And maybe that's what's happening in your life right now. You know, when it looks the darkest, when things look like, you know, you're at the lowest point, like the sun is, there's that turnaround. And I believe all of us, if we can just see the magic in all of this, we can see that's happening in our life. Just as in the womb, when the sperm hits the egg, I said there's that spark of light. It's the same in the darkness within us. And it's just like the days of light start to increase and grow after December 25th. So the switch over from decreasing to increasing is imperceptible. We can't see it. And how many times in our life when we're going through things, we can't see it? It looks like we're just stuck for 3 days and 3 nights, or maybe it's 30 days and however long it is. We look like we're stuck. But no, when it's the darkest, that's when the turnaround, the magic of that turnaround really begins. And what does it say? It's darkest before dawn. Where did they get that? It goes back to all those ancient things. Could this be why so many people get depressed around the holidays? But in truth, the sun's light will come back. And so will the light in your life. We're all here experiencing and walking through all of these things. And there will be a resurrection. The budding of the baby birds. I mean, look what spring shows us. It shows us that new life. You know, I have across the street from me, I have a weeping willow. And in the wintertime, it's my favorite tree. In the wintertime, it gets all brown. And it looks so bad. But soon as spring begins to come, everything begins to green. And that tree begins to get green again. And there's also a eagle's nest across from me. And in the spring, that eagle comes back, and there's always a baby eagle born. So everything in our life is really turning. If we can see, it's the wheel of darkness turning back to light. And our life is in that same circular thing. You ever thought everything on this planet is circular? You know, I thought one time, probably all the water we've ever had we were given. And it just keeps circulating around. You know, the rain comes down, it goes back up, and we don't think of that. But everything is here. And it's the same within us. Everything we need is within us. And it's just that circularity. It's the time and season of things that we're really learning about ourselves. So it's the soul's drama, the mortal drama of why you're here. And this Christmas season is not about one man. It's about all humanity. It's about everybody out there that has no idea what's going on. It's about them. It's about everybody. So at the winter solstice, all of humanity's energies are fueled into this primal drama of the sun's rebirth. So all of humanity, wherever they are, in the north and the southern hemisphere, where they go through it, they're really part of that primal drama. And the energies are there for us to really tap into. But we have to understand them. You know, what I wanted to do today is just take us past what's really going on in physicality. We love the trees. We love all the Christmas music. We love all that. But why is it, when we know it was taken from a pagan origin, and the Catholic Church put their connotation on it, and we've been celebrating it ever since then, why is it that this holiday has been maintained for thousands and thousands and thousands of years? Because there's a bigger significance. And the significance is what's happening inside of you. The significance is what's happening on planet Earth to all humanity. And the significance is if we can tap into those energies and really begin to understand that everything in the physical is trying to teach us about ourselves, to know what the soul's journey is, what your purpose on earth is. Your purpose on earth is to turn back into light. That's what your purpose on earth is. For these dense bodies, once we begin to purify our minds and really rise above all of this, for these dense bodies to alchemy back into light. And when we understand this, we can see that drama. So it's a great wheel. And at this time, it's the bottommost turning point of that wheel, ready to slowly turn its back right up towards the top again. So it's important for us to see that why this holiday has remained intact and why we need to begin. How many of you have ever looked it up on the internet and said, let me find the origin of Christmas? How many of you have done that? Yeah, and you begin to see there are so many things written on it. I mean, I've spoken on it for, 17 years now. I've spoken on it. And I've spoken on so many, different avenues, but it's so beyond what most people in church, they're going right now and they're celebrating the birth of the birth of one man 2,000 years ago, which is wonderful. I think Jesus was a pattern son. I honor that. But how does it refer to us? How does it touch us? How does it transform us? How does it change our lives? And that's what we have to know. Well, all of these holidays, Easter, what's that all about? It goes back to the name Ishtar, goddess of spring. All of these things that we just have been fed and we just take for granted. It says, things are hidden, but it's the glory of a king that search it out. And we're all kings. We're all the ones that are here to search those things out and to reattach, go back. That's why we're going to have a ritual on January the 1st, so that we can attach to those energies, of this new solar year and really get intact with what's going on. So despite the materialism of it, humanity's disconnect from the natural cycles which reveal man's story. This is our story. The sun is our story. The zodiac is our story. Christmas is our story. It's the story of our soul's journey and how our soul becomes illuminated. The solstice holds deep mysteries, and it's a yearly invitation for mankind to reconnect to those mysteries. For us to spend that time to really reconnect and know. I don't know about you, but inside of me, I want to know. You know how it says inquiring minds want to know? My family wish I didn't have that inquiring mind, but I want to know. I want to search those things out. I want to know, why are we here? And what's Christmas all about? When I knew it was pagan years ago, why? Well, why are we still celebrating it then? Because it has a much deeper meaning. And it has a meaning for me personally. It has a meaning for you personally. And it has a meaning for humanity as a whole. And it's really taking us back. It says that when we go and search out those things, it changes everything. So it makes us sacred again. We're bringing the sacredness back into this season. Knowing it's not just about a Christmas tree. It's not just about Santa Claus. It's not about all those things. But it's about our soul. It's about the journey of humanity on planet Earth. So we're here to relink to the universe and to see how those seasons hold messages for us. When we go past the season and then we start in the next season, do we ask, what's the message of the season? Or we just whip through life, not thinking about, here's a season where we're to rest. When the animals hibernate, what are they telling us? They go deep into a cave and they begin to really, go to sleep and rest. And this is a season when we're supposed to do that. In Latin, the solstice means sun set still. And it can be S-O-N set still too, for us as suns to set still. And the winter solstice is the greatest time of stillness before the sun's strength to build and grow again. And this is your time to be still and to gain your strength that you can build and grow again. That you can really take the rest of the year and grow. And when you go inside and really be still, it speaks of us as a time to rest and reflect, because it's this fruitfulness, the darkness, that new life can change. If there's any time of the year that you can change your life, that holds the power and the energy for you to change your life, it's this time of the year. It's this time of the year to really set the intentions of what you want your life to do, to release those things you want to release that aren't serving you anymore, and begin to bring those things into your life that you want to really incorporate into your life, to empower you in 2017. This is one of the most magical times of the year. And so it speaks of that time of rest and darkness before new life is emerging. And just think, after December 25th, when you set your intentions on December 25th, on December 26th, your new life is beginning to emerge. How about if we looked at it like that? How about if we looked at this season and know that the darkest time of the year is the 25th, when the sun is closest to the earth, and that we put our intentions in that. And then the next day, we know that our new life is beginning to emerge out of that darkness. I mean, it changes everything. How many of us, I remember when I was a kid, you can't wait for Christmas. God, I couldn't wait for Christmas, Santa Claus and all the presents, everything. And then it was gone. You couldn't hold on to it. You know, I've said that many times before. I used to sing that song, Row, Row, Row Your Boat. My birthday or Christmas or all the things I look forward to. I couldn't wait to get there. But as soon as you got there, they fled. You couldn't hold on. There was nothing you could hold on to. But this is something you could hold on to. When you set your intentions in that darkest time of the year, and then you begin on the 26th to watch it unfold in 2017. It's not that letdown after Christmas that so many of us have. So the winter solstice offers us a magic moment where two streams touch and flow together. The worlds of eternity and the worlds of humanity touch in this moment. It's like magic. On that 21st, it's when the worlds of humanity and the universe and the cosmos touch. It's that time when we can really change our lives. So the worlds of eternity and humanity align, providing a conduit for the altogether different light from piercing our very being, to really invite that light in. As it gets dark and we're at that lowest point, and we open up and invite that new light to come in, to really bring new birth to us. This is our rebirth. This is the time of year we can rebirth, we can resurrect. It's a time that darkness, pain, and outdated ways of thinking can be released. And the light can infuse the psyche with illumination of a new way of being. I know there's things I want to release. How many of us, 2016 has been, oh, what a year. Oh, what a year. It's really been a year, hasn't it? But we're at the end of it. And we're really ready to start something new. And we can take this opportunity to let go of those. It's a season of rest. And it represents the preparation for a renewed life, if we take it that way. Similar to how, like I said, animals go into hibernation. And it's a time of germination as we plant our intentions in the womb of the darkness and know that the spring light is going to bring them to life. That we plant those intentions in that womb of that darkness during this holiday season. Remember, it's a powerful esoteric meaning. And it's a promise of illuminating light coming into your life like never before. So I hope, I've really approached it in a different way than I ever have before. I usually go into all the symbolism. But I think if we can get the magic, and we do feel the magic. You know, when you're a kid, don't you attach to that magic of Christmas? I used to get so excited. My brother and I, we'd play cooties all night. We couldn't sleep, and we were all excited. One year, we turned the clock back. Our parents wouldn't let us get up till they got up. So we turned the clock back to, I think we put it at 5, and it was like 3. And we got everybody up and everything, and pretty soon my dad looked at the clock, and he said, another clock, and he said, how come that clock says 3 o'clock in the morning? And have you ever seen those little boys when they go, he did it? That's what I did. He did it. But anyway, we felt that excitement. We attached to that excitement when we were children. But we need to reattach to it. We need to start making some rituals about this time of year. That it's our time to plant that seed, to germinate that seed, to plant those intentions, and really know that that light, that springtime is coming, and it's going to illuminate everything in our lives. So I just wanted you to see, this is about us. It's not about that sign I saw on the reason for the season is Jesus. No, it's not. It's not the reason for the season. The reason for the season is you. And so it is.